How's it going, everyone? B'ezrat Hashem will continue in the fourth lesson, Likutei Moharan. We're somewhere, I think, in the ninth chapter towards, somewhere in the ninth chapter towards the end. So we said in the story from Rabbi Bar Chana that the fish that got washed onto shore, right? So they filled from one of its eyeballs. They filled 300 barrels of oil. Bechinot hadat. So this is the aspect of the da'at, the wisdom that a person gets this da'at. Ki shemen mishchat kodesh ze bechinat sechel. Oil corresponds to sechel, which are all those sparks of holiness that are, all these letters, these nitzotzei neshamot, right, souls that are stuck down in the exile. So by gathering all of them and doing this process of vidu and bringing them up, we said you go up to this state of from like yeshut, which is down physicality. You bring up the letter hey, the malchut. You draw it up into the mind, which is like ayin, and it gets a huge light, and then it comes back down. So that process, when it comes back down, then a person brings to his understanding, right, to his da'at. He can understand, try understand that light, right? So it brings you every time. Basically, gives you another level of understanding of the Torah. So the oil itself corresponds to the sechel, and the 300 that it said is the aspect of Moshe Rabbeinu, right, which is the da'at. Shu bechinat ma. So we know Moshe Rabbeinu, he's the aspect of ma, like he said, v'anachnu ma. When Bnei Yisrael came or complaining to Moshe and Aaron, so Moshe said, what? Like ma. So it's that if you can get to that aspect of ma, of that wiping out of the physicality, that's how you could make that connection. And it just takes us, it's a matter of just connecting for 1 second, where a person just focuses really strong on the words that he's speaking. He's focusing that those words, that speech is coming from his essence, from his godliness from within his heart, and he's directing the thoughts to the godliness from within his mind. And as long as he has intention in a strong way of that connection, that speech going to the mind, he basically, as long as he doesn't think of his body for 1 second, right? You could do it in a way where you're just not moving, so when you move around and shake, and you feel the body more. So if you're like not moving, you're just talking, like full concentration, and you can just tap into it. It's just a matter of a second or two where you tap into like just not thinking of the physical body, and then the letter hey will go up and get that huge light from the mind. So Moshe Rabbeinu corresponds to this this aspect of just completely annihilating, wiping out his physicality. שהצדיק, שהוא בחינת מה, שהצדיק מקטין את עצמו בבחינת מה, בשלוש בחינות צריך להקטין את עצמו. So the tzaddik needs to basically wipe his physicality, right, out completely and bring it to this aspect of ma, which means like has no existence from itself, physical existence, meaning your whole essence is just the godliness from within you. He needs to do it in 3 different ways. Like it says in Yirmiyah, Al yitalel chacham, gibor ve'ashir. So it says that a person needs to wipe himself out from these 3 things, which is chacham, chachma, gevura, strength, and wealth. Wealth, which is ashirut. So in these 3 aspects, he wipes him. He becomes completely like wiped out. Doesn't think. I don't know the exact word of like ma. It's like ayin. ועל ידי זה יש לו התפשטות הגשמיות. הוא מדבק באור אינסוף שאין שם שום שינוי רצון. So if a person can do these 3 stages of basically the first aspect of is הסתכלות פני הצדיק. Hold on 1 second. I just check 1 second in Yirmiyah what it says over there. So it says over here like this. It says, Ko amar Adonai, Hashem said, Al yitalel chacham b'chochmato, that a person shouldn't take praise with his wisdom. V'al yitalel hagibor b'gvurato, or in his strength. V'al yitalel ashir be'oshro, and the rich one shouldn't mitalel with his riches. What should he? Ki im bezot yitalel hamitalel haskel ve'yado oti. Ki im bezot yitalel hamitalel. So Zot, we know Zot corresponds to the Malchut. So that little covenant that you have from within you, the godliness from within your heart, is called Zot. Zot is the Shechina, it's the Malchut. So it says that a person shouldn't. Here, this is the source where Nachman's learning that a person shouldn't take, because those are the things where a person's wisdom and a person's strength. Chazal say that the three things that people, take pride in. They take, they get arrogance from it. Like they take pride in their strength, in their wisdom, and in their wealth. So these are the main three things that a person needs to basically become ayin and wipe out from his physical being: his wealth, his strength, and his wisdom. And kim bezoti talela mitalelam, when he comes and does this process of vidui before Hashem and talks to Hashem, he needs to mamish just connect to that zot from within him, that brit from within him. Haskel ve'adoti, and through that a person could really come to understanding and getting that light. So yadoa oti means yadoa comes from dat, to know me, to connect to me. Hashem is saying, like, to connect to the godliness from within your mind. You have to come up just with zot. So you have to take out those three aspects. And then it says, Ki ani Adonai, I am God, oseh chesed, mishpat, utzedakah ba'aretz, ki be'ele chafatzti ne'um Adonai. So I am God, I do charity, mishpat, which is judgment, tzedakah, chesed is like kindness, and then tzedakah is like charity. Ba'aretz, right, down on earth, which is the physical body. Ki be'ele chafatzti ne'um Hashem. Hashem says, these are the things that I desire. Which means the first one is chesed, remembering to lean on to Hashem's chesed, not forgetting the level of mercy of Hashem. Because if you forget that, then a person looks at all the bad things he did, especially if he only now became religious or found out now that he could start fixing things and that, and he's for years been completely gone and not thinking about anything spiritual or godliness, so he feels like there's no way he has hope. How could Hashem forgive him for all these things he did? So the first most important thing is to always remember, that Hashem has tons of mercy and chesed. The other thing is mishpat u'tzedakah, to remember that when you do this judgment and you bring these sins into vidui, into speech, and you bring them up, you have to bring in the azamra, which is the nekudot avot, which is tzedakah, and always justify yourself. Because these are the things that Hashem wants. It says straight out in the prophet. And this Hinei Yamim Ba'im, it's talking about the end of days, when godliness is going to be revealed into the entire world. So the main three things Rav Nachman's bringing over here, the main three things that a person needs to do in order to be able to connect his godliness from within his heart to the godliness in his mind, is to annihilate, to wipe out these three things, right? These three main things. So wisdom, person, he can't hold himself, come with his wisdom before Hashem. Just to realize he doesn't have any chokhmah, especially in a place where he's coming and bringing sins and stuff before Hashem. Gvura, strength, and wealth. So those are the three things that have to be wiped out and put aside completely before a person could come and approach Hashem. And the way to do it is through the vidui, the process that we spoke about, of bringing your, taking the things, seeing the face of the tzaddik, understanding that strength of godliness you have from within your mind, and then bringing up the sin into words and saying, what it is that you did. Just one sin, I would just stick to one and not spread out. And then bring the nekudot avot, azamra, all the good points, and judge yourself favorably and get yourself, out of the decree. Because it's very important that a person doesn't blame all the times he falls, because the Yetzer Hara overcame him, to not blame that onto his little bit of godliness. He has that little yud that's from within the last letter hey that's in his heart. That's the malchut, right? So he has that little yud. He had a daled, right? The daled was when he was born, and then, which is dalav aniyah, it's poor, doesn't have any light from itself. But in bar and bat mitzvah, you get that covenant, so you get that little yud, which is Shem Elokim. And the root, I was learning in Torah Aye, in the second book, in the 12th lesson, that little yud that's from within the hey is actually the root, the source of where it's connected is in the chokhmah. In the person's chokhmah, where he has the yud, chokhmah is yud, and then bina is the hey, it's the four letters of Hashem, right? So the yud of the chokhmah That's the same yud that's inside the bina. You know, the bina is a daled. It's a letter hey, but it's actually a daled with a yud in it. And then the vav is the yud on top that's drawn down, and that yud comes into the daled from within in the heart, which is that daled with the yud in it. So that yud is the source of that yud is connected to the yud above, and it's called Bereshit Ma'amar Satum. It's like the out of the 10 sefirot that a person has in his body, right? In your body you have 10 sefirot, in your head you have 10. So in the 10 sefirot in the body, one of the sefirot is called Bereshit Ma'amar Satum. It's the hidden one. The hidden one, and that's the one that gives the life to all the places of sin and bad things, and it also gives life to all the 9 other sefirot. It's like the source of of everything. So even though it's hidden, right, because it's in the heart, whereas the place of the Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, right, a person has Yetzer Hara, so when he does sins or goes after lust and stuff like that, it all is on the heart. All those fallen letters and everything, it's all inside the heart, and that's why people suffer a lot, physically, mentally. The suffering comes because it's all on top of their hearts. You have to get it out and start fixing all the brokenness of the heart, turning all that into actual Torah by bringing it up and then drawing down the sechel, drawing down this wisdom. So that's basically the three things. And through that, a person can annihilate his physicality, and he can connect himself to the light of the mind, the Yud Kei Vav that's in his mind. He can tap into that. So over there, in that godliness from within his mind, right? Over there, there's no difference. It's all good, bad, physicality, spirituality, right? It's all oneness up there. There's no separate, like we said, there's no down over here. Everything has a different picture. It looks different. There's different of the 4 elements, right? How much of each element is in it gives it its different colors, its different shape, and so on. But that's only in the yeshut, in existence, in physicality. But in spirituality, which the mind corresponds to, especially the Chochmah Bina Da'at, right? That's all just oneness. So once a person can wipe out his physical and go up and tap into that, he basically taps into that, everything that's like that light that where there's no, like we started off the whole Torah saying that when a person realizes that all the good and all the bad that he goes through, it's really all oneness. It's all tov, right? There's no chiluk between good and bad. So that's like tasting a little taste of the next world. So this whole process is Reb Nachman teaching us basically what we need to do in order to be able to tap into that godliness that's from within our mind, that oneness, right? Even if it's just a little bit, get a little taste and come back, draw some light, then go back. Just keep doing this. It's like a process that people could do. This is what they used to do in the time that the Beis Hamikdash, time of Shlomo Melech. All the Yidden used to do this. This is what you did. And then it slowly got forgotten, It's in the time of the exile. Less and less people did it. You could see in Rashi, a lot of the Perushim, that if you see Rashi in the commentary of the Torah, and you understand it in the way Reb Nachman's explaining it, in the deeper meaning, you see Rashi, the way he's explaining it is also on the deep meaning, which means it has the simple explanation to it, but it's also deeper, which means Rashi Mamish had this connection between the chet and the nun, the reunification between the heart and the mind. Hainu kula tov emitiv, right? So you come to this oneness where Shashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Elokim, which is judgment, it's all one. Atov emitiv. V'zeh b'chinat chad galgel adeinan. That's what it means, that it was one eye. They took out of one eye 300 barrels, the one eye of this fish, 300 barrels of oil. Kamuva ba'ida, like it says in the Zohar, in the Parsha of Nassau, page 137. And in the days to come, when Mashiach comes, this light of the one eye of mercy is going to be revealed in the world. Which is the aspect of everything is a tov amitiv, right? The judgment, the good, bad, everything is going to all be just this oneness. There isn't going to be those twos anymore. So we see that when a person connects himself to this aspect of ma, he goes up and he taps up to this one eye, right? This one eye of mercy. Hainu la'ein sof, just that oneness. ואחר כך, כשחוזר בבחינת רצו ושוב, אז ממשיך מאור אין סוף, האחדות הרצון הפשוט שם דרך המה שלו. So he goes up, right? He taps into that oneness of Hashem, right? That Yud Kei Vav Kei, where there it's just all oneness. Taps into that, and then he draws down that oneness through his ma, right? Through that ma, that he created that ma, right? The body, he wiped out the body completely, He goes up, he connects to that oneness, and then he draws that oneness down. V'na'asa mima me'ah. And then that ma, that turns into me'ah. K'mo she'amru, I'll try explain it. It's just a little bit hard with the Hebrew and English. K'mo she'amru al tikre ma ela me'ah. The rabbi said in the Gemara, tractate of Menachot 43, al tikre ma ela me'ah. Don't call the word ma, right, which is the letters mem hey, but call it me'ah, which means 100. Mem aleph hey. V'na'asa mitlat me'ah. Tlat me'ah mitlat ma. And it turns from these three aspects of ma, because we said with your wisdom, with your strength, and with your wealth, you basically wiped out all those three. You turned each one of those three aspects into ma, right? Into like no physicality. You wiped it out completely. So it turns from ma, because we said that what Rav Nachman is basically explaining is this. What Rabbi Bar Bar Chana brought, it says from one eye of the fish, they made 300 barrels, right? Tlat me'ah. So it's called tlat, 3, me'ah, gal v'mishcha. So me'ah is the mem aleph hey. So from one of the eyes, right, meaning that one eye of mercy. Tlat, the three are the three aspects that you need to wipe yourself out in. Me'ah. So you have to turn those three, right? If you want to get 300 barrels, right, 300 of those barrels of oil to draw down that wisdom, that light, you have to take the three aspects of ma, right, and turn them into me'ah. It's basically like the letters ma is Adam, his numerical value of 45, which is human, and in the center, if you want to turn that ma into oil, right, into 100, which is drawing down this wisdom, you have to put the letter aleph in the center, and then it goes from ma, mem hey, with the aleph in the center, it becomes me'ah, which means 100. And the aleph is this whole process of doing this vidui, doing this whole process and drawing it back down. So he basically turns so from these three aspects of nothingness, where he wiped himself out completely, that turns into now 300, right? Three aspects of 300, right? 300, and each one of those is wisdom that gets drawn down. He draws down this light into his dat and into his sechel. It becomes a part of him. Hainu galve de mishcha shu b'chinat sechel. Ata oret al hadat shemamshich or ein sof ledato. He draws down this or ein sof, right, into his mind. Sheyada achduto, and he knows the oneness of Hashem. That Hashem Yod Kei Vav Kei is Elokim. It's all one. V'yivarech hatov ha'mitiv al hakol k'mo le'atid lavon. He's going to bless on everything hatov ha'mitiv, like the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. So he says when we came back 12 months later, we saw that they were cutting the bones, they were sawing all these bones from the fish in order to build all of the cities that got smashed from the fish. So behind the Kedusha, right, behind the Kedusha, which is behind the 12 tribes, right, the 12 tribes of the 12 children that came out of Yaakov Avinu, right? Yaakov, that corresponds to the Shlem with the building of Malchut Kedusha. When we were in the desert and all the tribes were set up in the desert, right? That was like the whole Malchut Kedusha. It's like corresponds to the Shlemut. It says we were under the mountain at Mount Sinai, like one person with one heart, and we received the Torah from Hashem. It came down, right? So it was like all one, right? So the Shlemut of the building of the Kedusha is the entire nation of Am Yisrael, which means when a person takes all of the letters of Torah and he draws them all back into his heart, right? Because the heart is like the place of the Torah. It says write the words of the Torah on your heart. Kotvem al luach libecha, right? So when a person, and the whole Torah is also in the heart. It starts with a bet and ends with a lamed, which is lev. All the letters need to be from within a person's heart. So that's the shlemut. That's the completion of the Torah when a person, through this process of vidui, every single time he draws down more sechel, and through that he is mashlim and completes the entire Torah until he puts the entire thing in his heart. So that's the 12 tribes, which is the shleimut of Kedusha, when a person comes back to his true kingdom, being the son of the king, and he has from within his mind the entire wisdom of the Torah, and he sees the whole picture as one, right? That oneness is called the shleimut of the Kedusha, which corresponds to the 12 tribes of Am Yisrael. So behind, right, he came after 12 months and he saw that they were cutting. So Rav Nachman saying that behind the 12 tribes of Kedusha, is the impurity. V'yesh bnei adam sheyotzim ma'kedusha, and there's some people, right? Some of these sparks, some of these letters that fall because of sins and stuff, they fall outside of the kedusha, and now they're stuck on the other side. Zesh siper Tana, and this is what the Tana, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana, is telling the story. Shehadar v'chazar la'ayen be'elu shem batar tisar yarcheshata. So he went to now check and check out these sparks that fell to the other side. They're outside, completely outside of the holiness, like the incense, the chel benah, the bad incense, right? The things that are out. How do you now elevate and bring these things back? They go outside of the 12 tribes because of their bad deeds and bad actions. Meaning, when a person does a sin or something, goes over the Torah, so those letters now get trapped there on the other side. So he said that he saw that they were cutting the bones of the fish. So in other words, what it's saying, that because of the bad actions, the sins that a person did, that are engraved from within his bones. And we said that the engravement goes inside the bones from one side to the other, which means this weakness gets enrooted from within his bones. It becomes, etzem is like the atzmiyut, the essence of a person, right? So his essence, which is his godliness from within him, right? When a person does sins, does stuff that are bad, what happens is it engraves from within his essence this weakness, and that's what makes him lose his, the firstborn rights and walking around feeling like the son of the king. Instead, he feels like he's not good, and he fell, and he's not worthy. But when a person wakes up and realizes, hey, the whole process of being able to do tshuva and draw down this sechel and come back to life all depends on this simple process of vidui. But once he learns this and understands this, and he's in mitor, he gets an awakening for tshuva to come back through, because of a little sheretz, because of a little bit of impurity a little bit of impurity, right? You take a little sin, someone can take a little avera, right? Something he fell in, and he can bring it in this process of vidui, and he can fix it and draw down huge light, right? It's crazy, but so through this process of vidui and tshuva that he does, what happens is, so these Rishayim, which up until now were stuck in the other side, right? These sparks of kedusha, they now they become a part of his binyan of kedusha. They help him build his malchut kedusha, build back his fallen Torah, his fallen mind that fell into exile all these years. And this is what it means in the pasuk. Now Rav Nachman's bringing the first pasuk that we started off with in Torah Daled, which is Anochi Hashem Elokecha, a long Torah. Anochi Adonai Elohecha Asher hotzaticha me'eretz Mitzrayim bet avadim. I am Hashem your God that took you out of Egypt, the house of slavery. So Zeh Perush, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem Elokecha, so it's Yud Kei Vav Kei, right, and Elokim, kindness and judgment. Perush, Hen Hashem Hen Elokecha, Tavin shekol zeh Anochi. Hainu shtekayem ba'Hashem alel davar b'Elohim alel davar. Right? So whether it's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei or the name Elokim, you have to understand that it's all Anochi. It's all Anochi Hashem, right? It's all coming from the oneness of Hashem, and a person should live in this place of where he's praising and thanking Hashem for the good, for the bad, anything that happens. He gets to this state. Hainu kula tov emitiv. Shehotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. דאית במדרש, כי כל הגלויות נקראים על שם גלות מצרים, מפני שהם מצרים לישראל. Right? I'm the one who took you out of Egypt, like it says in the Midrash. That's the continuation of the pasuk. I am Hashem, your God, right? There shouldn't be a separation between the good and the bad. How do you get to that? I'm the one who took you out of Egypt. That all the exiles, the Midrash says that all the exiles are named after the exile of Egypt, which means every exile that there is as a nation or on a personal scale, any type of exile a person goes through, even a difficulty in life, whatever it is, they're all called the galut, the exile of Egypt. Because it's bringing a tsarut, it brings a narrowness onto a person, so he's in a state of exile. It's called exile of Egypt. So through this aspect of the tzaddik, right, through that, meaning this whole process that we spoke about, through that, the memshala, the rulership, right, that firstborn rights, that rulership of the other side gets wiped out completely, and we can take the sparks of holiness, all the letters that have been by them all this time, take it out of them and bring them back to the Kedusha in order for a person to build his Malchut de Kedusha and be the son of the king again. Mi Beit Avadim, from the house of slavery, right? I am Hashem your God that took you out of Egypt, the house of slavery. The house of slavery is hinting to the wiping out of all the bad characteristics that stem out of the four elements, because they're all called slaves. All the characteristics, the bad ones, are all called slaves. The four elements are also called slaves. We know all the four elements, earth, water, fire, air, right? They're all underneath the moon. And the moon itself is called slave, like it says in the Zohar in Vayeshev, page 181. So the Zohar calls the moon a slave. Perush. So what does this mean? Through the strength of the tzaddik. And again, to understand what the tzaddik is, we're talking about, there's a few aspects of tzaddik. There's the tzaddik called, right, your dat, Moshe Mashiach, that power from within your mind, that is mamish, because your chokhmah bina dat, right, it's receiving its light, godliness light from the letters Yud Kei Vav that are beaming into your mind. So your mind is this aspect of tzaddik that could mamish redeem you from everything. The last letter Hey from within your heart that has from within it that little Yud, that's also called a tzaddik. And then all of the sparks of Kedusha, sparks of holiness, that are little sparks of souls, they're little letters of the Torah, they're also, each one of them is called a tzaddik. And really all three of those are one, because as we said, the Torah and the person's essence and the godliness, right, and Kutshabrichu, it's all really one. Only it went through this state of exile, of galut, where it's all spread out. But through these aspects of tzaddik, taking those tzaddikim, bringing them into words with your own tzaddik that's speaking out of your heart. So you take those tzaddikim, you bring them to yours, and you speak up to the tzaddik from within your mind, the Hashem, right? You connect all these three aspects. That's how a person can come out of his completely, come out from the other side and wipe out all of his bad characteristics. And through this, a person mamish raises up and comes to like a state of Olam Haba, of the next world, the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. To a place where he mamish can praise and sing to Hashem, to the good and the bad. And Hallel, we said like in the second lesson, that Tehilati, Hallel, Hallelujah, it's all coming from it's a type of prayer where a person takes words of letters of Torah, things that he fell into, and he brings them into speech, into a Hallel, right? That's the type of prayer we're talking about. So it's a prayer that you're using your voice and your words to speak words of Torah. So it's combined with this good and bad from within it, because it's a sin you're bringing up and speaking about, but it has from within it lots of righteous tzaddikim, these sparks of holiness that are a part of your essence. And you bring them up, and then what you do is you blend in lots of nekudot tovot and speak about lots of points of good. And through that, a person, like Rabbi Nachman says in one of the Torahs, that when there's good, anywhere where there's good, so the sparks of holiness that are trapped from within there, they get sucked to their source. Automatically they get sucked to their source is just goodness. But they've been stuck all this time, and because a person's been feeling like he's the son of the servant maid, and he's been bashing himself, I'm no good, and blaming all of his mistakes and all the things that he fell in, he's been blaming on his essence, on himself, instead of, not blaming himself, blaming the Yetzer Hara, blaming his taivas, right, and making that separation. He hasn't been doing that, so they're just been trapped there. But as soon as he brings it up in words, and it comes up, and then he brings with it the nekudot tovot, and he judges himself favorably and finds all the little nekudot, things, good deeds that he does, and says to Hashem, that's my essence. As soon as he does that, the sparks of holiness that are in the bad get sucked out and come out of their trap. And they're the ones that, when it creates the zivug, the yichud between chokhmah and bina, and that creates, the letter Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? It becomes Shalem. That's when the letter Hey gets its really strong light and comes back down into a person's heart with huge light. And that's how a person comes out of the bad and can thank Hashem, will thank Hashem for everything, because he'll realize all the bad is good. There's no bad. And we'll end it here just because I want to be able to start the fifth lesson to go in on a new recording instead of having them all set up, divided like that. Take care, guys.